I've long been concerned at a certain lowering of standards when it comes to Pechakucha presenters. The next speaker is surely a new low. Evidence that the barrel's bottom has been scraped to its core. Carole Shepheard has a thoroughly unimpressive CV. A retired professor of arts at Elam, she sports a doctorate in her field, and once ran that appropriately titled Museum of Cultural Anxiety in that culturally anxious metropolis to the north. A fine artist, as well as an academic, feminist and curator, Dr. Shepheard has work in all of New Zealand's major collections. Carole Shepheard.
I can deal with him later, I'm sure. I don't know quite what to say after that. Fantastic. Okay. I'm going to read some of this because I'm taking a few risks, I think, tonight and talking about failure as part of our art practice. And for me, failure deserves to be a constant reminder, that when you're attempting to make work, it's not without its problems, especially if somebody's coming along and wanting you to make a particular type of work, hoping that it will sell. So success in monetary terms is not where I'm coming from. And I often get asked, how many pieces of work did you sell? Well, I don't sell. I even got rung by Work and Income a few weeks ago to talk about my painting, that I was a painter and I must be making a heap of money. They were and putting my pension at risk. Well, they actually stopped the pension, so we had to talk about what sort of art I actually make, and that went down like a sort of cup of sick, basically. The most important thing I think about making work is that you go for the feedback and the support of your peers, and you still do ambitious projects, even though having a gold card doesn't get you much discounts when you're coming to buy materials. But you keep those projects going. Some of the more recent works, this is actually probably a good example of going from a university research ability money to having not much money at all. But I do like to recycle work and to reinterpret it and make it look different in different ways. The most recent work that I've made is currently on here in the Painting and Print exhibition. And it could be deemed a political work. It certainly was intended to confront viewers and also to confront the organisation that was promoting that event. I've not felt like I've had to do anything political for many years. However, this particular event challenged me in numbers of ways. I've been working for a long time, and that obviously was referred to. But a lot of the work there has been something about an idea or an issue that's confronted me from time to time. So it's been a roller coaster ride. It's never been dull, but it's been hugely uncomfortable from time to time. And I'm saying that that's a really good thing. In 1997, I founded the Museum of Cultural Anxiety, and this was run from my studio in downtown Auckland, a place that I rarely visit anymore, and it was open to the public for a couple of days a week. From time to time, I would go into collections and play, I suppose, with what they had there and see if I could prompt my very failing memory to bring back some ideas and some stories of what it was like when I was much younger. So this museum was designed to help me reassess where I was coming from and what I was doing and what I loved most of all, which was giving legitimacy to my obsession with garage sales and second-hand shops and having that as my primary research intention. Didn't go well in academia. For a long time, I've been interested in ageing processes, and I've been interested in dementia and Alzheimer's, and it's getting more and more as I'm reading through this. But I do believe that objects have got a role to play. I think they can help with restoring memory. That's my theory, new theory. But it's not scientific, and it's not useful to anybody other than myself. But it's almost impossible to imagine not being able to recollect or to recall or to reminisce. We know that areas of the brain are pivotal for placing memory, locating it somewhere, but we don't know exactly where that part is. Primarily, I believe in that memory is stored throughout our body, and it's context dependent, and it can be prompted by anything at all. A bottle that you dig out of the ground, a hairbrush that's come from a grandmother's room, an enamel jug, the smell of something, and being in the gardens is fantastic. However, there's been some works that I have, what the museum did was it didn't tell you what was a truthful object and what was a fictional object. So I made a lot of things and gave them stories as to how they were used, what they could be used for. Some of that was a bit naughty, I guess, because people then started to talk about, wanting to purchase a work, and of course mostly you would say, well, you can get it from Kmart or somewhere like that. Objects are transformed in the presence of the person who's looking and touching and handling those. In the museum, some of the exhibitions that I set up for people to engage with were Measure, which was the one before. This is Capture, where buttons were stitched on and stories were told. Suture was a work that I stitched together all of my black clothes and shoes, and to be a month without wearing black was actually probably the hardest thing in all my career. Spill Stain, which is this work, I had liquids actually poured into in and across and through my hair. My daughter thought that was the best thing I'd ever asked her to do, because it went from water, milk, honey, and then it became some rather offensive sort of things, ending up with having tar poured through my hair. She enjoyed every minute of that performance work. This work, Whisper, I asked friends to give me an item of clothing that had a story attached to it. Some of the stories were very interesting, and if you put on the costume or the coat, you could get a feel for what the story was about. This last image refers to how we should not be silenced as artists. We need to question, provoke, and sometimes offend. Of course, we need to do that with good heart and a conscience. So I'll leave you with the challenge that art that leaves the viewer somewhat uncomfortable, curious, or intrigued will last a hell of a lot longer in their memory bank than art that's made simply to please. Thank you.
Only the best artists tar and feather themselves.